There's a lot going on with Social Security as take a look at the latest headlines with me. Social Security changes on the table as the House bills advance. New retirement age terms, more ID theft services. We're hearing this week 3 bills have been passed in the House of Representatives that are going to have some big changes to Social Security. And the big one that everyone wants to know about, Social Security bill that may increase benefits by $200 per month. And we're hearing that right now with what's coming in 2026, it could be used. A little bit of extra help could go a long way with what we're hearing is going to be coming here. And take a look. Also, that is why we are hearing that Trump, his $2,000 stimulus payments, are they going to be coming in 2026? He is saying yes, but there's a lot of people that are skeptical. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think that these checks are going to be coming here? What to know, as we're hearing that these actually will be going out to those that collect Social Security as well. Just like those stimulus payments, they're supposed to go out to everyone. So that could be a huge bump up as well. And as I mentioned, we are hearing that it is needed right now because Medicare beneficiaries are not insulated from the affordability challenges as Part B premiums rise in 2026. And as you know, here on the channel, I've mentioned it several times. Actually, we've only got 48 hours left. If you have not taken a look at your Medicare and made sure that you've got the best program available to you, as we're hearing there's a lot of changes, a lot of things that are discontinuing. You think you got the best one, but you're not sure. You might want to check. You can see the number on the screen, 984-375-0879. My friends over at Chapter are taking free calls right now. Call in, 20-minute call to a real person will help you evaluate all the different programs, what's the best fit for you. And if you got the best one, they'll say you're set. But if not, they're going to go ahead and set you up with the right one. And what I've heard is they've helped thousands of people on my channel already. And the average is $1,100 in savings. So give them a call. You can see the number on the screen. I'm also going to pin it in the comments for you. If you have not taken care of that, please do so. You've got about 2 days left. You don't want to wait and find out you don't got the right program for you in Medicare. Also, if you're trying to figure out ways to save, I've also got ways that you can go ahead and look and evaluate. Now's the time. Best car insurance, best life insurance, best Roth IRAs, best investments in gold, best high yielding interest savings accounts. I've got a bunch of stuff down there to try to help people out for saving this year. So anyways, though, let's get into the changes that have passed in the House of Representatives so that way you can see what is going on with Social Security. Now, if you appreciate the updates, keeping you up to speed on what's going on with legislation all around the world, $2,000 checks, do me a favor before we dive in. Hit that thumbs up like button for me. Helps out the channel a ton. Subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? This is your first time here. I cite all the sources. I'm going to put it on the screen. Read right from it. I also hyperlink it in the description. I have them available to you so you can click it. Go read it for yourself so you can see the dates, the sources, and you can know and rest assured that this is the latest information coming out. And like I said, if you appreciate that, hit the like button, subscribe, and all the articles and resources linked down in the description below. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at these articles so that way you can see for yourself the latest coming out, as we're hearing that there are big changes on the table for Social Security as 3 bills this week have passed. Let's go ahead and take a look. Social Security changes on the table as House bills advance. New retirement age terms, more ID theft services coming out today, Friday, December the 5th, 2025. Now, this article says that even before they start receiving Social Security checks, millions of Americans rely on the Social Security Administration for information on when to claim retirement benefits and for help if their Social Security number has been compromised. This week, the House of Representatives passed several bills aimed at improving the agency's services, not only for prospective retirees, but also for identifying theft victims and children whose cards are lost or stolen. More than 300 million Americans have Social Security numbers. Now it is up to the Senate to consider those proposed changes. Here's what the bills would do if they would become law. Now, the new terms for Social Security claiming ages. So for those of you claiming Social Security benefits, you're going to want to pay attention to this. Eligibility for Social Security retirement benefits starts at age 62. Now, for most individuals, it pays to wait, particularly because the amount of the monthly benefits they stand to receive increases with time. By claiming what is now called full retirement age, typically age 66 to 67 based on your birth year, beneficiaries stand to receive 100% of the benefits that they've earned. Now, let me know your thoughts on this. Is it better to pull those benefits as soon as you can? If so, pull those benefits early. Or is it good to wait to the full retirement age? If it's good to wait till you hit that 66 or 67, put FRA for full retirement age. Or if you think, wait until the max, put max. I think that's age 70, if I remember correctly. When is the best time to start pulling those Social Security benefits, in your opinion? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And yes, and by delaying even longer up to age 70, they stand to receive an 8% benefit boost for each year past full retirement age. So you can either pull it early as soon as you can at 62, you can get the 100% full pullment at 66 to 67, or you can wait to get the max with a boost at age 70. But I know a lot of people say if you wait that long, you might not get it. Now, reading on, it says, nevertheless, many Americans don't wait that long. Research published in 2022 found that just more than 10% of claimants wait until age 70 because you might potentially be getting closer here to the end of your life. Now, in the past 2 decades, the share of retirees claiming at age 62 has dropped, according to the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College. Yet data from earlier this year showed more people may be claiming as early as age 62, including high earners, according to the Urban Institute. And I see a lot of people in the comments starting to say, pull it early, pull it as soon as you can. I'm also seeing some FRAs in there as well for full retirement age. Now, a new bipartisan bill, the Claiming Age Clarity Act, from Representative Lloyd Smucker of Pennsylvania and Don Byers of Virginia, would change the way that retirement ages are described, with the goal of better reflecting those trade-offs. Age 62, currently called the early eligibility age, would instead be called the minimum monthly benefit age. The full retirement age would instead be called the standard monthly benefit age, and age 70 would be referred to as the maximum monthly benefit age. People are making an irrevocable decision that will affect their benefits for the rest of their lives, and they may not have all the information that they need to make the decision in the most considered way possible, said Shai Akbas, Vice President of the Economic Policy at the Bipartisan Policy Center at Washington, D.C., a think tank that has advocated for the bill. A Senate version of the bill, led by Senator Bill Cassidy from Louisiana, currently has backing from Senators Chris Coons of Delaware, Susan Collins of Maine, Tim Kaine of Virginia, and Bernie Sanders of Vermont. The unanimous vote in the House was quite compelling and hopefully provides momentum for fairly quick action in the Senate in the coming months, Akbas said. So we're hearing that this is going to be moving on to the Senate. As I mentioned, these bills, they have passed in the House. Enhanced service for identity theft victims as well. When a Social Security number is compromised or a card is lost or stolen, individuals affected must interact with multiple people at the Social Security Administration to resolve the situation. A bill proposed by Representative David Kuskoff from Tennessee, the Improving Social Security's Service to Victims of Identity Theft Act, would require the agency to provide a single point of contact to better help consumers resolve the situation in a timely manner. Victims of identity theft shouldn't have to fight their way through government bureaucracy just to get their identity restored, he said in a statement. More than 1.35 billion victims notices were sent to individuals in 2024 following more than 3,100 data breaches, according to the Identity Theft Resource Center. More than 1,800 of those breaches involved Social Security numbers. A Senate version of the bill, led by Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa, currently has 9 bipartisan co-sponsors. Replacement Social Security numbers for children. A third bill, called the Social Security Child Protection Act, would require the Social Security Administration to issue a new Social Security number to children under 14 if their Social Security card was lost or stolen in the mail. Every child receives a Social Security number that follows them around for the rest of their life. And every year, there are kids whose Social Security numbers are lost or stolen in the mail and exposed to fraudsters. Lloyd Smucker, who introduced the bill, said during a speech ahead of his December 1st House vote. A 2022 Javelin Strategy and Research study found 915,000 children had been victims of identity fraud last year. Now, prompting average costs of $1,128 for a single household and requiring an average of 16 hours to resolve. It can take years before young adults realize that their Social Security numbers were stolen or compromised, he said. Currently, the Social Security Administration replaces those numbers only after the holders have become victims of fraud. The proposed bill would provide a simple fix to protect our children, Smucker said. So there you have it, you guys. Those are some of the bills that we are seeing right now that have passed. Just to clarify, they have passed the House of Representatives. They are now making their way to the Senate. We're going to be seeing if they take those up and they are passed into law. And again, this article you can see coming out today, Friday, December 5th, 2025. So there is a lot of activity happening with Social Security. And one of the ones that people would like to see is the Social Security bill that may increase benefits by $200 per month. We've been keeping an eye on this, and let me know your thoughts. If you would like to see this, put 200 in the comments. An across-the-board increase of $200 per month. That includes those that collect retirement, SSI, SSDI, veterans benefits, railroad, any of the fixed income benefits from the Social Security Administration that are distributed out would get a $200 per month flat increase across the board, because they're saying that right now the cost of living adjustment that's going out, it's simply not enough. They're saying it is just not keeping up with inflation. We've got a 2.8% increase for that cost of living adjustment, that COLA that is going to be applied to your benefits as we enter 2026, and people are saying it's just not enough. $200 a month on top of that, they're saying should be added. And I'm seeing $200 pouring into the comments right now. People are saying, yes, we need more help, support to keep up with inflation, not to mention the historic Medicare premium costs that are skyrocketing, which are basically going to eat up almost half of your increase. We're hearing that the average increase is going to be about $56 a month. Almost half of that is going to be taken out from Medicare. So you're not going to see much of a cost of living adjustment increase as we enter into 2026. A lot of people not happy. And that's why we're waiting to see what is going to happen with this piece of legislation, this bill proposing to increase Social Security. Now you can see this came out November the 10th. So it's been about a month or so that we saw this introduction, started seeing headlines on it. We're still waiting to see this one get pushed through either the House or the Senate. Let's take a look here. Democratic senators, they have introduced a bill that would see Social Security payments rise by $200 per month. Now, here's why it matters. Because Social Security checks are paid to more than 50 million Americans during retirement, creating a bedrock of steady income later in life. The proposed bill comes as Americans voice growing concerns over inflation and affordability. In October, the Social Security Administration announced that benefits would rise by 2.8% next year because of the annual cost of living adjustment, or the COLA. Here's what to know. Last week, the Social Security Emergency Inflation Relief Act and the Boosting Benefits and COLAs for Seniors Act were in Congress. The first legislation would provide a $200 monthly boost to Social Security benefits until July of 2026. If enacted, the bill would raise Social Security and veterans benefits. Co-signers of the bill include Democratic Senators Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, Kirsten Gillibrand of New York, and Ron Wyden of Oregon, and Chuck Schumer of New York as well. Now, this would provide relief to seniors, veterans, and Americans with disabilities who live on a fixed income that would not be able to keep up with Trump inflation, a bill summary said. So they are blaming those tariffs and the inflation that's taking place right now, but also President Donald Trump. is proposing $2,000 tariff dividend checks. We're going to be taking a look at that here in just a second as well. In a statement, excuse me, to Newsweek, the White House said President Trump will always protect and strengthen Social Security, which is why he signed historic legislation removing taxes on Social Security benefits for nearly all beneficiaries. The U.S. annual inflation rate increased to 3% in September, up from 2.9% in August, the highest level since January. The second bill would change the formula for how annual COLA adjustments are determined. Currently, the SSA calculates the annual adjustment using the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. Now, this measures inflation based on the spending habits of younger urban workers rather than retirees. The bill proposes changing the inflation measure on which the COLA is produced to the CPIE, which tracks the expenses and spending habits of Americans age 62 and older. So the senior view on Social Security. Benefits are available to workers age 62 and over, as well as to those in other circumstances, such as surviving family members of deceased workers and disabled Americans. But several studies have found that a substantial portion of Americans don't believe Social Security stretches far enough. And we saw all those 200s pouring into the comments with those that agree there should be an across-the-board increase. The average retirement benefit in August of 2025, the latest month for which data is available, came in at $2,008. The Senior Citizens League, an advocacy group focused on issues affecting older Americans, found in a study published earlier this year that only 10% of seniors were happy with the amount that they received from their monthly Social Security checks. And that 73% of seniors depended on Social Security for more than half of their income. The nonprofit has long been an advocate of changing the COLA formula to the CPIE, saying that it could result in higher payments for seniors. So here's what people are saying. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand of New York said in a newsletter release, Americans deserve to retire with dignity, not spend their golden years just trying to get by. Our seniors have spent a lifetime of hard work paying into Social Security, but the payouts simply aren't keeping up with rising costs, and this year's annual cost of living adjustment is not enough to keep seniors afloat. Now, these two bills would help make sure that older Americans don't have to choose between paying for medication or buying groceries, providing both short-term relief and long-term solutions. As the top Democrat on the Senate Aging Committee, I'm determined to pass these critical bills to make sure that our seniors can age comfortably. Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts said in a news release, while Donald Trump spends $40 billion to Argentina, I'm proposing sending American seniors on Social Security an extra $200 a month to offset higher prices. The cost of everything from coffee to beef to health care is up, in large part due to Trump's chaotic tariffs, and Democrats are fighting to deliver some financial relief and lower costs for Americans. This legislation to expand Social Security is an emergency lifeline for seniors struggling to afford Trump's tariffs and rising inflation. Now, Shannon Benton, the executive director of the Senior Citizens League, said in a news release, seniors and the Senior Citizens League, they call on Congress to take immediate action to strengthen COLAs to ensure Americans can retire with dignity, such as instituting a minimum COLA of 3% and changing the COLA calculation from the CPIW to the CPIE. So they're saying there needs to be at least a minimum of 3% COLAs every single year. And let me know in the comments, do you agree? If so, drop a 3 in the comments. If no, put no. Let me know your thoughts. Now, you saw in that article where we had Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren was blaming Donald Trump for the inflation, saying the tariffs are the cause of the rising prices and why we are suffering with these higher costs. Now, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think that that is the cause of this? Or do you appreciate the way Donald Trump is handling tariffs and foreign policies, trade, and all of these things with the economy? If you like what Trump is doing, drop a 47 in the comments. And we're hearing that he's aware that prices are going to be going up due to tariffs. However, that is why we're hearing he's also proposing the new $2,000 stimulus payments for 2026, also known as the tariff dividend. I actually don't think they're being called a stimulus, but this particular article is calling them a stimulus payment. He is saying this is not going to be a stimulus injection of new funds into the economy, but rather this is going to be a dividend payment pulled from those tariffs. If you appreciate Donald Trump and the things that he's doing, drop a 47. If you don't, drop a 46 for the previous administration policies. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And I already see 47s pouring in, people saying that they appreciate the way Donald Trump has been handling things. And we're going to be seeing about this $2,000 check as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at this update, as it says a promise of $2,000 tariff dividend checks is raising questions and fueling confusion. This article coming out 4 days ago says, as the holidays approach and prices for everyday essentials remain high, discussions about new government stimulus payments have once again captured public attention. Online searches for stimulus checks are climbing, and speculation about government payments has intensified after President Donald Trump revived one of his attention-grabbing ideas, sending some U.S. taxpayers $2,000 tariff dividend checks. And we're hearing that he is saying that billions and billions are pouring in from the new tariffs that are being applied. And as a result of that, we're going to go ahead and take a portion of it and give it back to the American people in the form of a $2,000 check. Now, Trump claims that his tariffs on imported goods have generated enough money to fund the plan and to pay down some of the deficit as well. However, since tariffs are taxes, U.S. consumers are bearing much of the burden of the administration's trade policy. And some fiscal experts say the dividend numbers, they don't quite add up. Now, are Trump tariff dividend checks really going to be on the way here? Trump recently revived his proposal to provide $2,000 payments to some U.S. taxpayers. He's framing it as a fair share of the revenues generated by sweeping tariffs that he's implemented on imported goods since the start of his second term as president. In a recent post on his social media platform, Truth Social, Trump wrote the following: "People that are against tariffs are fools. We are taking in trillions of dollars and will soon begin paying down our enormous debt, $37 trillion. Record investment in the USA. Plants and factories are going up all over the place. A dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people, will be paid to everyone." And what we're hearing is that this would also include those on Social Security. Now, Trump suggests the new plan for 2026 stimulus payments is a patriotic payback to working families who are shouldering higher costs. However, you might recall that this message echoes previous flirtations. For instance, not long ago, the Trump administration talked about Doge dividend checks, payments tied to Elon Musk's infamous Department of Government efficiency cuts. Those savings never materialized into payments to taxpayers. And Trump's call for tariff dividends raises other questions as well. Who will be considered high earners? And when are and how will this money be sent? In response, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent seemed to temper expectations. On ABC This Week, Bessent said the administration is exploring whether the dividend would come in the form of a direct payment, temporary tax relief, or another form like tax cuts in the recent enacted 2025 Trump tax bill. The $2,000 dividend could come in a lot of forms, in a lot of ways. It could be just the tax decreases that we are seeing on the president's agenda: no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility on auto loans. Now, I just wanted to follow up on this article because we actually saw Mr. Bessent come in again and clarify that no, he wants to send you a check and that they are working on income levels to determine that. And we had heard him actually say potentially $100,000 or less. But let's continue reading on. On Fox News, Bessent noted that Congress must approach any such payout and that no final design has been established yet. The Treasury Secretary also floated an income limit, possibly excluding households earning over $100,000. Oh, as I just mentioned, there it is in the article, but stressed those details remain under discussion. Most recently, Bessent acknowledged a trade-off between using tariff revenue for checks versus paying off the federal debt. Now, tariff stimulus. Is there enough tariff revenue to go around? The fiscal realities and trade-offs are key, as several budgetary experts have raised concerns about the feasibility of Trump's proposal. John Rico, an analyst with the Budget Lab at Yale University, told reporters it's clear that the revenue coming in would not be adequate. That's based on the assumption that Trump's tariffs may bring in around $200 billion to $300 billion annually. That amount reportedly constitutes less than 4% of the total federal revenue. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget estimates that issuing a one-time $2,000 payment to every American, including children, would cost approximately $600 billion, roughly triple the current annual tariff revenue. And even if the checks were limited to those making $100,000 or less, Alex Durante, a senior economist at the Tax Foundation, points out that this would mean that checks going to an estimated 150 million Americans at a minimum cost of $300 billion. So what's the takeaway? Tariff revenue has grown, but not nearly enough to fund dividend checks of this scale without dramatically increasing the federal deficit. Now, despite tariff growth, the federal deficit in fiscal year 2025 still reached nearly $1.8 trillion, according to data from the Treasury and the Congressional Budget Office. The International Monetary Fund warns that while tariffs can temporarily curb deficits, they often distort trade and raise consumer prices. The Tax Foundation notes that as tariffs rise, imports tend to fall. That can potentially undercut the revenue source that Trump claims to want to disperse. Now, Trump tariffs Supreme Court ruling. Then there's also the looming question of the legal sustainability of Trump's tariff policies. As a Kiplinger has reported, the U.S. Supreme Court is currently considering challenges to Trump's tariffs, examining the broad application of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which underpins many of Trump's administration's tariffs. If the court invalidates many of the tariffs, the ruling could significantly affect the availability of funds for the proposed tariff dividends and possibly necessitate tariff refunds as well. During oral arguments in the tariff case, Justice Amy Coney Barrett pondered the potential administrative mess involved in ordering massive tariff refunds for affected importers. So in other words, checks would be going out for tariff dividends, but not to the American people, back to those to which the tariffs were applied. Then, here's the legislative hurdles surrounding tariff dividends. As Besson acknowledged, Congress would have to pass legislation to authorize the payments. Earlier this year, Senator Josh Hawley introduced a bill that would mandate annual tariff rebates for lower and middle-income families, funded by duties of Chinese imports. Hawley's version, which hasn't moved in Congress, would stop short of setting a flat $2,000 figure. If approved, the bill would reportedly provide at least $600 per adult and dependent child, meaning that a family of four could receive a minimum of $2,400 in rebate checks. The $600 would be a guaranteed minimum per eligible person, but if tariff revenues exceed projections, payments could increase proportionally, according to Hawley's bill. Now, meanwhile, even some Trump allies acknowledge the need for congressional approval for any such payments, meaning that any rollout of Trump's dividends will face political or procedural headwinds. Investor and Shark Tank personality Kevin O'Leary recently warned that sending out checks funded by tariffs is just a quick band-aid that risks acting as a silent tax by stoking inflation. Now on X, O'Leary posted, "Everyone loves the idea of free checks, especially in a tough economy. But here's the truth, and it's not always popular. Sending out $2,000 checks funded by tariffs might feel good in the moment, but it does nothing to fix the core problem." He later told reporters that any new tariff revenue should be used to pay down the national debt and shore up long-term economic stability. Also worth noting, after the longest U.S. government shutdown in history, Congress is already battling over ACA tax credit subsidies and government funding levels. Now, Trump giving $2,000 checks, here's the bottom line according to this article. The idea of a Trump $2,000 tariff dividend might understandably resonate with many households, but fiscal realities remain shaky. The legal situation is still uncertain, and congressional cooperation is far from guaranteed. Budget pressure. The plan could significantly deepen the deficit unless the payouts are sharply limited. Revenue volatility. Tariff revenue tends to fluctuate, particularly when imports decline or trade partners retaliate. Debt trade-off. Using tariff proceeds for checks would divert funds from federal debt reduction. Legislative hurdles. Congressional approval will be required for direct federal payments. Legal risks. Ongoing court challenges could narrow Trump's tariff authority and erode the revenue base. So for now, the tariff dividend looks more like another idea than a budget reality program that taxpayers can look forward to. Focus on practical financial steps for now, including taking advantage of existing tax breaks and legitimate employment and income opportunities. But as always, stay tuned. Some states are sending various forms of rebates and relief payments this year. So there you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think we're going to be seeing a $2,000 stimulus check payment in the year 2026? If you think so, put yes. If you think no, put no. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on those $2,000 dividend rebate checks. Now, we're going to be seeing whatever unfolds, whether they come to pass or not. I'll be sure to let you know here on the channel. I'll cite the sources, put it on the screen, read right from it, so you can know exactly what is taking place. Now, you heard the article say, though, however, if they don't come, you're going to want to make sure you take advantage of other opportunities to help your situation financially. That is why down in the description of this video, I provided an assortment of different links. First, to my friends over at Chapter. If you have not taken care of your Medicare situation and made sure you are on the best plan for you, you are going to want to do that right away. I'm hearing that the call wait time is getting pretty long because you've only got 2 days left to make sure that you've got this squared away. So please call if you have not done so. A 20-minute call can save you potentially $1,100. That's what we're hearing is the average saving for a person that calls on my channel. The call is totally free. 20 minutes, hey, you've got the best program for you, you're set, or you should look at this program. It's going to be better for you in 2026. Could save you over $1,000. In addition to that, if you're looking at the best potential car insurance, home insurance, life insurance, the best checking account, savings account, what are the things that are going to be best for you and your family? I've got an assortment of links that you need to explore as we enter into 2026 to make sure that you are set financially. So that is down in the description. Wanted to provide those, make those resources available to anybody that is interested. So check those out, you guys. Well, we're hearing there's a lot of new stuff popping up with Social Security. Big changes are on the way. New bills are being proposed, and we're hearing that there could be money coming our way. We're hearing it's probably going to be needed. But whatever the case, I'll be sure to report it, let you know here on the channel. But that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.